there everybody. So today I wanted to review Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I feel like I'm a little late to the party, yeah, but enough time has passed since the movie has come out. I feel like I can do a review of this and have it with spoilers. Most people have seen who really wanted to see the movie, and if you really haven't seen this movie, stop watching this unless you really want to be spoiled about what actually happens and Rey's parents and all that type of stuff. So the first thing I wanted to say about the movie up front is I liked it. I did. I know that this movie is very polarizing. Some people are like, oh my goodness, this is one of the greatest films. Oh, JJ did such a great job with this. And then the other half is saying, it sucked. It sucked. Well, I'm kind of more so in the middle, but leaning more towards it was good. I liked it. It was fine. The thing about this movie, though, is that it felt rushed. That sounds a little weird, and I understand, oh, they do a Star Wars movie basically every single year and with different people and everything like that, but this felt rushed because, yes, they did have to change hands. J.J. Abrams had to come in and take the reins from this, so it is a little weird. Not to mention, I believe they had to change the script because of what happened with The Last Jedi with Rian Johnson's movie. Because he basically had to say, well, I have to redo everything that Rian Johnson did, so I have to make this make sense, and this makes sense, and that makes sense, and blah, 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 blah. So I get it. It just felt a little like they were writing on the fly. The biggest movie that comes to mind with writing on the fly is Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, Pirates of the Caribbean 3. That was a big deal at the time in '07 when At World's End came out, because in '06 Dead Man's Chest came out, and they were writing At World's End while filming that, so it felt very rushed, that they didn't have a game plan, that they didn't know where anything was going to go. And that's what this movie kind of feels like. This movie feels like something where they didn't know where to go. What are they going to do? What is the end? How do you end this? A huge thing that I do take out of this movie, though, is that it felt like a Star Wars movie. That sounds really weird to say because, oh, well, aren't they all Star Wars movies? Yes, but what the magic of Star Wars is not in the characters, is not in the dialogue. It's in the world. It's in the universe that this creation is in. It's so fantastic to see all these different types of creatures, all these different types of worlds and beings. That's the cool thing about space movies, is that they are different. People are weird. You can make it up as you go. You can create this world. And that's what I love about Star Wars. And that's what I think a lot of people like about Star Wars, is the world that it's in. The main characters are, to me, secondary. It's everything around them. The interactions that they have, these droids, the aliens, what they can do and say. When it comes to this one and the characters and how they flourish in this third movie, there's a few that I like and a few that I dislike. The one that I really didn't like, honestly, was Finn. I didn't like Finn. Finn, to me, went down as a character as these films went along. I felt like there was something there. There was something cool about Finn at the beginning of all of this. But after that, he wasn't that interesting of a character. He really wasn't. I feel like maybe they were trying to make him out to be the hero at the beginning and then boom, move, oh, it's Rey instead. But I don't know. I feel like the thing about a rogue stormtrooper was an interesting thing. Yes, they kept on bringing up the whole traitor thing throughout Force Awakens, and even a little bit in The Last Jedi, but that was nowhere here. And not to mention, if I had to listen to him scream, Rey! Rey! one more time, I was going to lose it. It was massively annoying. I wonder what his script looked like. I bet it was just an all caps screaming, Rey! Screaming Rey. Screaming Rey. The character that I did really like, that I thought improved, was Poe. I really liked Poe this time around. In Last Jedi, he was a little bit of a disappointment. I thought he was a little whiny and had no sort of direction of what he was supposed to do. Here, he was more of just a lost guy. He was supposed to be the future leader, and he didn't know what to do, and that scared him. He wanted reassurance from his people as the new general when Leia, unfortunately, passed away. And that was a big thing about Poe, is that he became the leader he was supposed to be. He became a good character because he had a little bit more heart this time. I feel like it was more relatable with him, and that's why I loved Poe so much this time around. The wild card here, honestly, was Rey. Rey has always been a fan favorite character, and it's a character that I really liked. But she wasn't always my favorite character, and it's a weird thing about that because she is the main center of attention. Rey's the big mystery, right? Who is she? Where does she come from? What are her powers? What can she do? And of course, the big reveal of she's Palpatine's granddaughter, which, first off, might I ask, who was Palpatine screwing? Kylo Ren, I believe, said it was her father that was the descendant of the Emperor, so who was the Emperor doing in order to have that guy? Like, there's some weird stuff going on in the Senate. I don't like that's anything new. But yeah, that's the thing about Rey, is that she was always so important. And we always thought she was a Skywalker. And then at the end, when she claims that she is a Skywalker, to not be ashamed of her name, which is, it's really funny. Because I believe at the beginning of the movie, they talked about, oh, don't be ashamed of who you are. Don't be ashamed of your name. And then at the end, she just says, I'm a Skywalker. Didn't that defeat the whole message? And then, of course, the progression of Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren has never been that great of a villain. He's a fine arc to have over a 3-movie period. But, of course, the whole thing of Anakin Skywalker, which is the comparison, is so much better. The rise and fall and then rise again of Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, which is the whole plot of Star Wars. It's the Skywalker saga. That's the funny thing. The other thing is that this movie didn't feel big. The threat wasn't that huge. At least it didn't feel it. I don't know. It's a little weird to think about because when you have things from the past like a Death Star, a huge round planet-like thing that can destroy full-on planets, that's a threat. That's a huge threat. What do they do? Sir, we put a super cannon on that thing, and it's kind of like a Death Star laser, you know. Hey. And that's such a cop-out because it's literally, again, them writing on the fly. How do we make this threat bigger? Put big laser on a Star Destroyer. It's not a Star Destroyer, it's a planet destroyer. It's a big laser. Yeah, that'll show them. What? It's just one of those things that kind of bothered me. It was so half-assed with certain plot points. The 3PO mind wipe scene was a little ridiculous to me. The whole drama that they put in of a good 20 minutes of him reading the dagger and then saying, yeah, I can't translate that. Oh, well then we'd have to wipe his memory. We can't wipe 3PO's memory. 3PO's such an established character. He knows all these things. We can't just do that. And the drama that we built over all this. And then when they come back to the Rebel base, R2 just brings his memory back like it was nothing. It was so much drama for absolutely nothing. And so I thought that was just a complete and utter waste of time, and it really could have shaved off quite a bit of time off that movie, if you ask me. I know that there's a rumor around that there's an even longer cut of this movie, like a nearly 3-hour version of it. And I'm like, really? This was 2 hours and like 35 minutes or something like that? They really could have shaved 15 minutes off of this movie, and it would have been fine. I can't not talk about this movie without talking about the return of the Emperor. And I will say, again, there was no point to it. There was no reason to bring the Emperor back into this whole thing. I understand that, oh, we finally found out where Rey came from, that she came from Palpatine, but to bring this character back was them running out of ideas, in my personal opinion. It was them trying to figure out how to recover from this Snoke killing thing from The Last Jedi. Literally, Palpatine was their best villain in the entire series. Arguably. I mean, he's the biggest baddie that they ever had. So what do? Oh, well, we gotta bring him back. And they brought him back. It's never really explained. He's attached to a machine. He looks like he's half dead. He's barely alive. And then in his final 5 minutes of life, he sucks the life out of Kylo and Rey. And then, oh, it's all well and fine. Now he's able to do it again. Could he have not done that when he first saw Kylo? at the beginning of the movie. Maybe just take it out of him and then he could find. But I guess he just needed Kylo to do his dirty work. But it's just the fact that why? Why bring him back? This would be the equivalent of like Marvel bringing back Thanos in some sort of future movie just to say, hey, he was probably our best villain. We should have him back because we don't have any other villains that we could probably think of or anything like that. Sorry. So I know I sound very negative here, but there are some nitpicky things, and I understand why people are angry about it because it is such a big movie. But at the same time, it's not that big of a deal. It's a fine movie. It's a fine movie on its own. In the overall Star Wars saga, it's not at the top of my list. It's not. But, I mean, I think it's better than Last Jedi. Against Force Awakens, I'd probably put it at the same level. I wasn't as big of a Force Awakens fan as other people were. But, I mean, of course it's better than Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. On the same caliber as the originals, I don't think so. It's a nice ending. I like a happy ending. I like a good happy ending. And this had it. It was a nice send-off for Mark Hamill. It was a nice send-off for Harrison Ford. And it was especially a nice send-off for Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia. On a grade scale, I'd probably give this movie a B-. You know, I've seen much worse films, especially big-time action films. I've seen worse. But there are much better movies that I've seen. I mean, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fanboy in the world, but I do like the franchise, and it's a great franchise, and I think it ended on a great note as they possibly could. I'm proud of what J.J. Abrams did, and it's really a pretty good film. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Did you guys see Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker? Did you see it again? How many times did you see it, if you've seen it at all? Let me know in the comments below and tell me your thoughts about it. And as always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel for more movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and anything else I can come up with. Thanks, everybody!